Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back once again to the OR News broadcast. It is 6 o'clock, and that means it's time for our English news edition, in which we have prepared a translated version of today's top news stories. The Minister of Transportation, Edmond Hajanasto, has reacted to the scandal that has recently been made public by OR News concerning the Shenzhen ferry line. Minister Hajanasto announced that the company has breached its contract with the Albanian state and that the authorities of the ministry and the port authorities are currently verifying the contract. Hajanasto said, "The operator signed a contract with the port of Shenzhen, but is not honoring it. Currently, the ministry is verifying the company's violations of the contract. If the violations are proved, the company Ionian Island may be heavily fined or even lose its operating license." The minister continued, "After the verification, we will act according to the law. If the case does not merit punishment or penalizations for breaching contract, we will change the legislation to be like the European legislation. In this way, every operator that comes to Albania will know that there are rules that they must follow and that they must honor the legal obligations of the contract that they have signed," concluded Hajanasto. The Shenzhen to Brindisi ferry line was inaugurated in the middle of the electoral campaign, but the ferry disappeared after only a month without a trace. An unfortunate tragedy took place in Korça this morning when 3 people lost their lives in a house fire. The fire occurred at around 3 o'clock this morning, and it unfortunately took the lives of a 52-year-old woman and her 2 children, who were 20 and 18 years old. The woman's name was Esmeralda Tizani, and her children were Christina and Teddy. They were sleeping in the house when the fire broke out, and the police report that they were asphyxiated. The cause of the fire is not yet known, but the investigation team believes that it was an electrical spark from a lamp or ventilator. The damage caused by the fire is extensive, and the police investigation is ongoing into the issue. As multiple fires plague the landscape of Albania, the National Park of Thethi in Shkodra has been burning since Wednesday noon. So far, about 2 hectares of forest have been destroyed. Intervention by land or air is very difficult because the mountainous terrain makes it impossible for the firefighters to gain access to the forest area. They have indicated suspicions that the fire may have been set deliberately. The Director of Protected Areas has announced that an investigation has been launched. He urged the citizens to cooperate with the forest rangers in order to avoid similar situations in the future. In Kukas, it has been learned that the recent fires have been caused by the negligence of the shepherds and may even have been set intentionally to clear new land. They did not contain the fire, and as a result, Albania's protected areas are being damaged. On Wednesday evening, an area of 2 hectares of pasture land had been destroyed. It has been noticed that there is a lack of cooperation between the local leaders and the local forest services, which are technically non-existent because their communes do not exist anymore. The touristic area of Çeret and Kavaya was also engulfed in flame today. It is learned that about 2 hectares of land have been burnt, and the police and firefighters are working hard to extinguish the flames. They say that the situation is now under control. The most controversial topic in today's plenary session was the agreement with the USA on narcotics, which sparked a great deal of debate between the majority and the opposition. The former Prime Minister Sali Berisha accused the government of turning Albania into what he called the country of cannabis. The Interior Minister Sajmir Tahiri replied to Berisha's accusations, saying that the opposition is hampering the work of the state police. The 2 men also argued over the fine that the court imposed on Mr. Tahiri for the accusations he made against Berisha's children. Mr. Berisha had this to say, "It has become a normal thing for the ministers here to offend each other. The Constitution gives you the right to speak, but you must have facts to prove your accusations. 2 different courts have found you guilty of slander. Go and pay the fine," said Sali Berisha. The Interior Minister Sajmir Tahiri responded, "You cited a court decision. I will pay the fine, do not worry. I was fined because I said that your son was involved in Gerdets and that your daughter asked for 3% from a concession that you were going to sign when you were in charge of the country. This is what I said. I will pay the fine that Judge Joni imposed. Judge Joni is the very symbol of corruption in the judicial system. He is protected by the President and by the High Council of Justice, said Mr. Tahiri. Berisha spoke again in defense of his children, saying that they have not received a single penny from the state budget while he was in power. Prime Minister Rama interrupted the debate several times, trying to recall the attention to the subject at hand. We are discussing an important agreement, he said, the agreement with our partner, the USA, on the issue of narcotics. I am proud to tell you that there are 50% fewer crimes since January compared to past years. Today, we are going in the right direction in the fight against crime. Of course, we are far from our objective, but we will make the state police a model for the region, and we will achieve this with or without the opposition. I'm very proud when the internationals speak about the work of our Interior Ministry, the Interior Minister, or the state police. The state police will cooperate with the FBI for the fight against crime and corruption. You hampered the establishment of a National Bureau of Investigation, but we will establish it with or without you, said Prime Minister Rama. Today's plenary session would have been the last for this parliamentary season, but the opposition insisted that the law on tourism, which was supposed to be included in today's meeting, be discussed in a special plenary session that will take place on Monday. This year, the cultivation of marijuana in Albania has been reduced due to police operations throughout the entire territory. An Italian airplane continues to monitor the marijuana plots all around Albania. The overall surface of planted areas has been reduced, but an increase of smaller plots has been noticed. The most recent police operation was in Tepelena, where the police found and destroyed more than 6,100 marijuana plants. 50 police officers took part in the operation, as well as the Director of State Police, the General Director of Public Order and Security, and the Director of the Interforza mission. The operation was conducted as part of a joint protocol between the Albanian and Italian internal ministries. The project involves monitoring the Albania territory with special airplanes equipped with the latest technology. In total, 201,699 marijuana plants have been destroyed from January 1st of this year to July 22nd. In 2014, 530,177 plants were destroyed. The cooperation with Italy began in 2012, and each year it has brought an increase in the striking force against the cultivation of cannabis. A working group has been established to record and investigate all counterfeit properties in Albania. The team is comprised of the General Prosecutor's Office, the Agency for Restitution and Compensation, the State Attorney's Office, and the State Police. The Chief Prosecutor gathered the leaders of these entities together today in his office to establish the parameters of the group. A few days ago, the leaders they met with the Prime Minister of Albania to express their desire to create the group. The issue of falsified properties is an important one, as it is the fifth priority that has been set for Albania by the EU. The group will be formalized within a few days, and a special cooperation agreement between them will be signed. Albania has increased its agricultural exports to the regional and European markets, primarily exports of fruit and vegetables. According to the Ministry of Agriculture, the production has significantly increased in some regions of the country. In Berat, the total volume of agricultural exports for the first 6 months was 21,703 tons of product, compared to just over 10,000 tons only 1 year ago. Lushnja has exported more than 36,000 tons of agricultural products, compared to just under 19,000 tons 1 year ago. The data shows that the production of eggs and milk is also growing. According to the ministry, Albania is exporting eggs to the European Union for the very first time, following the ISO certification of certain Albanian producers. So far, we have exported 10 million eggs to Germany, and by the end of the year, the forecast is 60 million eggs. Despite the growth of agricultural production and exports, the Albanians continue to import most of the food that they consume. According to the ministry, the ratio of exports to imports is 1 to 7. In other words, for every product that we export, we import 7 more. Thank you for choosing Aura News as your source for English updates. Please join us again tomorrow at the same time. Thanks, and have a great evening.